Welcome to The Matt Bernier Show.
What's going on? The Matt Bernier Show here on DRF TV, live.drf.com. My name is Matt Bernier. You can see that at the bottom if you're watching the video. If you're listening podcast version, SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, all sorts of different ways for you to find the show, including video.drf.com. Hope everyone had a good holiday, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it may be. Hope that all went well. And this is sort of our little year-end wrap show. We'll call it that, simply because New Year's upon us. This weekend, we'll be turning over to 2017. All of the thoroughbreds across the country will be turning a year older. So that's exciting news, and obviously all eyes are leading toward, or focused on anyway, the Pegasus World Cup at the end of January down at Gulfstream Park in South Florida. It should be very exciting, and I guess the idea for this show, rather than go through and say who I think the best horse in each division is, which we'll go over probably next week as far as Eclipse Award voting is concerned, because the Eclipse Awards need to be on the forefront as far as people's attention anyway. I figured rather than do that, we're going to go over that. Let's do performances. Let's see who I think the best performance in each sort of division, each category is. Well, it was anyway over the course of 2016. That doesn't mean that I think that they're the best horse per se, but just that day, whatever it was, the competition they beat, what they were doing, in my opinion, the best performances of 2016. We'll break them down category by category, division by division, and let's kick things off. Let's start off with the 2-year-olds. We'll first go with the males, and this is going to be one of those things. Again, like I said just a minute ago, it's not who I think the best horse is right now anyway. Who knows? We've got a lot of time with these 2-year-olds, soon to be 3-year-olds. But at this stage in the game, I think the most impressive 2-year-old male performance was mastering the Los Alamitos Futurity. Let's take a look at that stretch run.
And these three have come right together at the top of the stretch. Mastery's got a race on his hands now, but he's got a slight lead. And it's IRAP who's going to challenge from the outside. Bobby Abu Dhabi is left in their wake third. Late run from Dangerfield. Mastery having to work this afternoon. And Mike Smith going to work left-handed. And Mastery is responding. Mastery now moving away in the final furlong. Distance no problem for Mastery. He glides home a 5-length winner in the Futurity.
And the reason I look at that performance and say, in my opinion, that was the best 2-year-old male performance of the year, better than Classic Empire in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, better than Not This Time at Churchill Downs in a race like the Iroquois, because the entirety of that race, and you can go back, and the beauty of DRF Formulator, you can go and pull up race replays and take a look and see. The beauty of that performance was this was the first time this horse was going 2 turns. I understand he has all the connections in his back pocket. He's got Bob Baffert. He had Mike Smith aboard. But the first time 2 turns, until they do it, there's no guarantee that they're going to successfully be able to do it. Also, the way that race was run, and I understand maybe the competition quality wasn't quite there, quite up to snuff with some of the others, including Classic Empire, but the fact that they went as fast as they did, he was out there on a contested lead, buried the other pace setter, and still had something left. I think he was getting a little bit green, a little goofy when he made the front. Mike Smith gave him a crack with the left hand, and he rebroke. I thought it was a very impressive effort, and again, in my opinion, this is not a slight against Classic Empire. We'll get into the Eclipse Award voting next week. Spoiler alert, for me, there is only one 2-year-old male champion, and it's going to be Classic Empire, and that's one that I would just take that to the bank. If you were setting some sort of line, he's 1-9. He's going to be 2-year-old champion as far as the boys are concerned. But from just strictly an individual performance, in my opinion, Mastery of the Los Alamitos Futurity was the best 2-year-old male performance of 2016. Their counterparts, the 2-year-old girls, a division that was kind of wonky for a long time. You didn't have anyone really wanting to sort of assert themselves and say, I'm the queen, I'm the leader of this division, leading toward the Kentucky Oaks the first Friday in May in 2017, until we saw Shane's Girlfriend. Shane's Girlfriend in her career debut was brilliant. I understand that was against maidens, but boy, she backed it up in a big way in the Delta Princess.
Flatter up, drops back, then Cajun Delta Dawn, and Forest Circle, but they're into the stretch. Shane's Girlfriend is just pouring it on through the stretch. What an impressive performance under Flavian Pratt. It's Shane's Girlfriend to demolish this field in the Delta Downs Princess.
This division is going to be interesting as far as the Eclipse Awards are concerned. From a sheer, just brilliant standpoint, no one can argue with that. What she did there, winning by almost 13 lengths, or a little more than 13 lengths, I believe. And I understand, maybe the quality of the field was a little bit suspect, and you don't really know what she beat. But at the end of the day, the way I'm looking at it is similar to Mastery. First time 2 turns. First time this filly shipped out of California, and shipping is a big thing. We've seen with Beholder in the past. Beholder was a filly that didn't really enjoy getting out of her element, whether it was Del Mar or Santa Anita. She liked being home in Southern California. She didn't really appreciate shipping out. The fact that Shane's Girlfriend has checked that box off already, you look at the pedigree, you look at the way that she runs, she just gives off every indication that she's the goods, she's legit. She earned a big buyer speed figure that day. And again, no disrespect to Champagne Room, who may be the 2-year-old filly champion. I think this is going to be one of the divisions that's a little bit, let's say, wonky, because at the end of the day, Champagne Room won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, but it wasn't in a fast time, and the quality of the competition that day was a little bit suspect. Shane's Girlfriend, the quality of the competition she's faced is a little bit suspect, and at the end of the day, Champagne Room is a multiple graded stakes winner, including a grade 1. Shane's Girlfriend, minor graded stakes winner at Delta Downs, and has only raced twice. I suppose if you want to throw a wild card into the mix, maybe a horse like New Money Honey or a Lady Aurelia, who raced one time here in the States, and that was in a maiden score at Keeneland back in April, and then went overseas and started just absolutely terrorizing everyone going short distances. This is going to be a fascinating division to talk about next week when we dive into the Eclipse Award voting, but strictly from a visual impressiveness standpoint, to me, no question, Shane's Girlfriend, the Delta Princess, was her best performance, or was the best performance for a 2-year-old filly in 2016. Let's move on to the 3-year-olds. We'll start off with the males, and I understand. You know what? The Travers may have been the more brilliant performance for Arrogate, and at the end of the day, Arrogate, for me, this is a slam dunk. Another one you can just take to the bank. He's going to win 3-year-old champion. But his Breeders' Cup Classic, running down the all-time North American, money earner in California Chrome, taking on Elders for the first time at 1.25 miles at Santa Anita, all the lights on. Michael Rona, take us home. Breeders' Cup Classic.
Frosted is next from Keen Ice. Top of the stretch, California Chrome is a length in front, but he faces an uncommon opponent today. Arrogate tries hard to reel in California Chrome. California Chrome with Espinosa going for the whip is still in front. Arrogate trying his heart out. California Chrome from Arrogate. A pulsating climax to the Classic. Arrogate takes the lead and wins. Arrogate beat California Chrome.
The beautiful thing about a horse like Arrogate is that we don't know how good he actually can be. Now, maybe some people will disagree with that statement, but the notion that a horse has raced 6 times and twice he's eclipsed 120 buyers, with the exception of his career debut when he went 6 furlongs at a track that sometimes can be a little bit bizarre, a little bit odd for certain horses to handle. Again, 6 furlongs at Los Alamitos. He lost that day by only about a head or a neck. It was 3 horses across the track, and they've come back to be pretty good horses. Accelerate was in there as well. This has just been a brilliant horse. He's been fantastic. The fact that he's unbeaten routing, the fact that he's thrown up these gaudy figures, and the quality of the competition that he's beaten. You look at the Travers, the field that he absolutely decimated. You had a couple of horses come out of that. They won next out. You also had a couple of horses come back to eventually defeat Elders, one of them being Gunrunner in the Clark Handicap, one of them being Connect in the Cigar Mile. This horse is tremendous. He defeated California Chrome on the square, and particularly when you look at the way that race was run in the Classic, Arrogate had to do more of the work than California Chrome did. I understand maybe, we're hearing that the connections say that maybe Chrome appreciates sitting off of a target rather than being the one that's being targeted. But at the end of the day, this is a horse that we saw how brilliant he was in the Pacific Classic on the front end. He went out there and just buried a field. And at the end of the day, you look at the fractions. I don't know that I want to use that as an excuse. I just think Arrogate ran just a monstrous race. And the argument, in my opinion, can be made that that performance right there that we just saw from Arrogate in the Breeders' Cup Classic, arguably the best performance we've seen in the past 10 years. When you consider the competition, when you consider how it was done, how lightly raced he is, Arrogate, tremendous horse. The best 3-year-old male performance of the year by far, in my opinion. And let's quickly go over to the 3-year-old fillies. We can't give them short shrift. This division was dominated by Songbird all year. She had multiple tremendous victories. You could have picked any one of them. In my opinion, the most impressive one was her coaching club American Oaks up at Saratoga. Larry Colmus takes home.
Now being put to a drive and put to the test for the first time. And on the outside, Karina Mia is even with her. And they're coming into the final furlong. And what a coaching club, American Oaks. Songbird has repelled Karina Mia. Songbird has opened up a 3-length lead. Karina Mia has been left behind. Songbird has whistled past the graveyard of champions, winning the Coaching Club American Oaks.
The thing that made that performance so impressive, and everyone knows this, I'm not breaking any news, Karina Mia was the best horse Songbird had faced to date. She took her shot at her on the far turn, and I understand Karina Mia's probably better going shorter. But boy, she took a shot at her, and Songbird just kind of gave her the flick and said, no mas, we're going on with this. She loses nothing, in my opinion, in defeat in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. She has one loss to her career. At this point in the game, she's far and away the obvious choice for 3-year-old filly. I suppose if you wanted to make an argument, and unfortunately for her, this year happens to be a very, very salty year as far as the quality in terms of horses is concerned, you could make an outside argument that she deserves to be a finalist for Horse of the Year. I don't think she will be, and I don't necessarily believe she should be. That's not a knock. I love her. Everyone that's watched the show knows how much I love Songbird. But at the end of the day, she has bigger and better things on her plate leading into 2017. The best 3-year-old filly performance of the year in 2016. Songbird, Coaching Club American Oaks, in my humble opinion. We're going to take a quick break here, the Matt Bernier Show. You can follow me on Twitter, @Bernier_Matt. Agree, disagree, fire away, let me know. When we come back, 4 more performances of the year. Older male, older female, turf filly. Stay with us.
It's the winner of the Gun Handicap.
This horse is the complete package. He's won from 7 furlongs to 1.1 miles. He's won on dual surfaces. He's won with and without Lasix, and he's traveled around the world and brought his A game with him.
He showed that he was a very top-class dirt horse.
Balance is key, and he was just perfectly proportioned. I think that's what made him so athletic and so efficient on the track. Well, the amazing thing about Outwork was just how similar he is to Uncle Mo. I mean, right away, of all of Ripoli's babies, he stood out as the most advanced, the most precocious, and the most talented, and that was exactly the same thing we'd seen a few years before with Uncle Mo.
Outwork wins it for John Velasquez.
To be able to win a Grade 1 like the Wood Memorial in only his 4th lifetime start was very impressive.
It is Outwork in front.
Say goodbye to your inner caveman. If you're making caveman bets on pick sixes, you could be leaving money on the table. DRF Bets Ticket Maker helps you build more profitable exotic bets and place them with one click. Raise your game with DRF Bets Ticket Maker. Be a samurai with your ROI. DRF Bets Ticket Maker helps you cut out unprofitable exotic bets before they happen and be the master of profits. Raise your game with DRF Bets Ticket Maker, the exotic wagering app.
California Chrome, straight and strong. Absolutely sensational. California Chrome. California Chrome. To California Chrome. All the way to the Kentucky Derby. California Chrome wins impressively.
He's gone into overdrive. California Chrome wins the Dubai World Cup.
One of the greatest performances you'll ever see.
Chrome turns to gold.
Roughly 12:13 on the East, 9:13 on the West. The Matt Bernier Show on DRF TV, live.drf.com. You can find us a number of ways. Video.drf.com, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, you name it, it's out there. Follow along. Follow me on Twitter. Send me some sort of whatever you want on there, @Bernier_Matt. What we're doing today, we're going back and looking at what, in my opinion, are the best performances of 2016, broken down by category. Again, doesn't necessarily mean the best horse with the best performance. It just means what I think overall, top to bottom, were the best performances of the year of 2016. Let's dive into a little bit more. Older male, this is one that I'm sure I would catch a little bit of heat for from certain people because I don't have California Chrome in here. No matter what he did, I understand going through a race like the Pacific Classic when he blew the doors off of a decent field, his good effort in the Awesome Again. That was the one, if I needed to pick one, more so than his Dubai World Cup. His Awesome Again, when he absolutely buried Dortmund. That one at least made me think maybe that's the race that was the best performance from an older male. But I chose to go with Frosted's Metropolitan Handicap. It was a brilliant performance. He came in and he absolutely blew the doors off the field, as Larry Colmus will tell you.
As they come to the top of the stretch, It is Anchor Down, joined on the outside by Frosted. And Frosted has gone on by and he has exploded. He is absolutely blowing his competition away. Oh my goodness, look at Frosted today. Frosted's 10 in front. Frosted is absolutely rubbed in the Met Mile. He was wrapped up in a final time of 1 minute 32.73 seconds.
I understand the quality of that field was a little bit suspect at best. Anchored Down, nice little horse, but no superstar. Noble Bird can throw a fit when he's right. He's brilliant, but more often than not, he throws a little bit of a tizzy. I thought that was just a ridiculous effort. We were here, Belmont Stakes Day, we were watching it, and we're saying, what is this? This is something you've never seen. You hear Larry Coleman. I'm sure if you talked to Larry and said when he was yelling, oh my goodness, he was probably thinking other things that he just can't say. You just can't say that in public. But we all kind of thought along the same lines anyway. A brilliant, brilliant performance from Frosted. Again, I don't want to take anything away from California Chrome or even Frosted's Whitney, which everyone has said was a giant, giant effort, and it was. In my opinion, the best older male performance of 2016, far and away the Metropolitan Handicap from Frosted. For the fillies, this one happened, 6-7 weeks ago. Maybe a lot of people looked at it and said Beholder was over the top. Stellar Wind was just better than her. And maybe that's possible. We'll never find out truly, simply because Beholder's retired now and Stellar Wind missed the break at the beginning of the Breeders' Cup Distaff. But when you have a horse the quality of Songbird that's out there, she's setting softish fractions for a filly of her caliber, and the big girl, the old lady, comes and runs her down. That's why they call her the Queen. Beholder, the Breeders' Cup Distaff.
Songbbird's the leader. Songbird facing her moment of truth past the 3/16th pole. Beholder is ahead back on the outside. Then comes Forever Unbridled, who's making a splash. Stellar Wind is not in the hunt. Beholder and Songbird, a soul-stirring duel. Forever Unbridled, 2 lengths back third. Songbird and Beholder. Beholder and Songbird, a cliffhanger that could go either way.
Came down to a bob, and I know that's the hottest sort of controversy in horse racing on Twitter anyways, was the photo doctored and all this other nonsense. Relax, stop. Don't make anything more than it needs to be. At the end of the day, I love Songbird. She lost the photo. Beholder got her nose down. A lot of it has to do with camera angles, and that's why it looks a little bit more suspect than it really is. But at the end of the day, Beholder, what else is there to say? A Breeders' Cup winner in 3 different years. She won the same race twice. She won the juvenile fillies once. And over the course of about 4 years, where she missed one of the Breeders' Cups when she was injured, one of the more, I think, underrated fillies in the grand scheme of things. And who knows, time will tell, but in my opinion, I think she was just as good, if not better, than Rachel Alexandra and Zenyatta when they were at their best. I said that earlier in the year, and I had a lot of people send me things on Twitter saying, you can't be serious. I just think her overall body of work would support the idea or the notion that she is right there, if not better, than those other girls. And that's not including horses like Blind Luck and Havre de Grace, and you name it. There were plenty of good fillies and mares over the past 10-15 years. I think Beholder belongs right near the top of the list. Turf Male, I don't know that this is necessarily the best horse, but I also can't say that he's not the best horse that raced here in North America in 2016. Highland Reel got out there and he got the best ride of Breeders' Cup weekend by Shamie Heffernan. A lot of people were critical of how slow the fractions were. My argument to them would be, what did you think they were going to do? Did you think they were going to go 46 seconds to the half mile? They didn't. They went 48, and here is Highland Reel turning for home in the Breeders' Cup Turf.
Highland Reel's bold bid for glory, setting the Breeders' Cup alight as he spins for home on a 6-length lead. From Flintshire, Ecto the inside. Ulysses is next, found near the fence, still a long way out of it. Highland Reel by 3 to the 16th pole. Flintshire in second position. Highland Reel, a masterclass of front-running riding from Seamus Heffernan. Highland Reel beat Flintshire, Found, and fourth either Ulysses or Ashley Love Sugar.
I suppose the argument could be made that Flintshire ran the better race simply because he was up against it from a pace standpoint. But again, we've seen so often in these turf races here in North America, and obviously it's a totally different game over in Europe where the paces are glacial early on. That's kind of what you get. And the fact that Shamie Heffernan broke that thing open going into the far turn, opened up by 6, 7, 8 lengths, I thought it was a brilliant ride. The best ride of Breeders' Cup weekend this year, and arguably one of the best rides in the Breeders' Cup history. Highland Reel, I have to give him the nod as far as best performance is concerned. Spread Eagle, the quality field, loaded with graded stakes winners all across the globe. Give me Highland Reel as the best turf male performance of 2016, and the last performance that we'll take a look at for all these categories. Again, I'm not saying this was the best horse. I could have gone with Tepin, particularly her run over at Royal Ascot. This is turf female. I could have gone with Lady Eli when she won the Flower Bowl down at Belmont Park. In my opinion, the best effort from a filly on turf throughout the entire calendar year was Celestine in the Just a Game that was at Belmont Park on Belmont Stakes Day. She went out there, she pressed the pace throughout, and she absolutely blew the doors off of a quality field. Larry Colmus from the top of the lane.
Receptus down at the hedge, saving all the ground, and Lady Laura swings up on the far outside. Celestine to the front. Celestine has grabbed the lead with 1 furlong to go. Lady Laura trying to finish on from the outside. Receptus down toward the rail, but Celestine has run away. Celestine, very impressive in the Longines Just a Game.
You wonder if that was the kind of race that was just so brilliant that maybe it took so much out of her that she was never the same. She went away for a long time. She came back in that race down at Keeneland, ran just fine, and then they tried her down the hill at Santa Anita in the turf sprint. It just didn't quite work for her. But I have to be honest, that was a brilliant performance no matter how you cut it. She was out there again pressing hot fractions, and she buried a good field. You had plenty of grade 2 and grade 3 winners in there, including a couple of grade 1 winners as well. Beautiful effort from Celestine and Bill Mott. In my opinion, not the best turf filly in the country, but in 2016, that, in my opinion, was the best performance by a turf filly in the Just a Game from Celestine. We're going to take a quick break. We come back in the Matt Bernier Show. It's the final week of the regular season in the NFL. It's week 17. We've been given the trifecta all year, and we got a shot to hit that number that we've wanted all year, 52% or better. Stay with us, the Matt Bernier Show.
Texas Red, second best, and here is one talented colt named Speedster.
I would say Speedster is maybe one of the most exciting horses that I've trained. He was a grandson of Gone West. Another horse that I had trained named Elusive Quality from that line was a world record holder at Belmont Park. Speedster showed some of that same speed. When you'd ask him the question, he could answer.
One talented colt named Speedster.
Breeders' Cup Classic.
Private Zone has run a 45 flat half mile and has opened up 2.5 lengths. Private Zone's got the lead close to home and he's all by himself. Private Zone wins the Forgo.
Does your online wagering platform want you to win? If they did, wouldn't they help you win? At DRF Bets, we're all about raising your game. That's why we give our players the data, tools, and know-how that no other service can. DRF Bets is more than a place to wager. It's a platform to help you play better and win more. Brought to you by the folks who love racing as much as you do.
Just about 12:24 on the East Coast, 9:24 on the West Coast. The Matt Bernier Show on DRF TV on live.drf.com. Spoiler alert, this show was taped on Thursday, but it's airing on Friday because I've got to catch a plane, hopefully out of LaGuardia later on this evening. But the weather is wonky where I'm going in, where I'm leaving out of. So we'll find out. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get down to business. Week 17. We've been given the NFL trifecta all year, with the exception, I think, of 2 weeks. I missed 2 weeks, I believe. And I had said all along, you got to get to 52% or better. I believe the actual true number is 52.3 or 52.4%. But we're going to 52% to not only beat the VIG, you got to beat the juice, but to show a profit for the entire season. Well, it has been a battle all year for anyone that's paid attention. And we are at a position now over the holiday, went 2-1. We are at 21-20-1 for the season, which means 1-1-1 for these final 3 games. That gets us there. That gets us to a profitable year for the entire season of 2016. And then obviously we'll talk about the playoffs as we get into that. But as far as I'm concerned, this is it, the final week for the numbers that matter. Let's see what we can do. 3 games, and I'm already breaking the cardinal rule that I had said earlier in the year, a few weeks back, when I took my hometown Patriots at home against the Seahawks, and I thought they would not only cover, but I thought they would just, handle them pretty easily. Well, no, they didn't. They lost outright. Earlier in the year, the first week of the season to be exact, I said they're going to get clobbered at Arizona. They won outright. And I said after the Seattle game, I'm never going to play with the Patriots again. Just let them be, let them sit there. Well, I lied. Because here we are, final week of the regular season. Most of the playoff scenarios and seedings are set. At the end of the day, the Patriots win, they lock up the 1 seed throughout the duration. There is an off chance that if the Dolphins win and the Raiders win, that they would fall to 2, and Oakland would be the number 1 overall seed. But now they've got Matt McGloin, now that Derek Carr is out with a broken leg. The Miami Dolphins are catching 9 points at home. Now this line has moved a little bit over the past few days. It was as high as 10 at one point. It was as low as 7.5, I believe, when it opened. I got it at 9. I'm going to keep it at 9. The New England Patriots never play well in Miami. That's a fact. Anyone that pays attention to the Patriots or lives in New England realizes this. When they go into Miami, they always play poorly. Sometimes they win, but they never play well. The Dolphins can move up, I believe, to the 5 seed with a victory here and a little bit of help, which could go a long way because that could potentially set up a first-round matchup with the Houston Texans, who everyone in the AFC would like to play because Houston's not very good. I'm going to take the points at home. I think it's just a scenario where, you know what, the Dolphins could win this game outright. I'm not banking on it, but give me Miami +9 at home against the New England Patriots. Let's go out west. It could be the final game for the San Diego Chargers in San Diego. The Kansas City Chiefs go down there. They are laying 5.5. I just think the Chiefs are in just all systems go mode at this point. I know this game, you can say it doesn't mean a lot for them, but there is a scenario in which they win, Oakland loses, they all of a sudden become the 2 seed and get a first-round bye as opposed to being the, 5 seed in this scenario. I think it's an interesting sort of layout. I understand 5.5 is kind of in no man's land, that middle number, but at the end of the day, the Chargers, I feel like they've packed it in. They had a brutal loss last week. I understand their calendar and their schedule didn't play kindly, but you can't be the team that loses to the Cleveland Browns. I don't care if you're in Cleveland. You just can't do that. Give me Kansas City on the road at San Diego in what could be the final game at Qualcomm. That's still TBD. They may be moving up to LA. They're going to move to LA at some point. I feel like that's a slam dunk. Whether it's next year or the following year, we'll find out. But San Diego at home, throwing them out. Give me the Chiefs -5.5. And the final game is going to come down to the final game of the regular season for a couple different reasons. Green Bay Packers -3 at the Detroit Lions. The winner wins the NFC North. I think the Packers have finally gotten their act together. They're rolling. All systems go. The Detroit Lions, Stafford is hurt. He's got an absolute laser for an arm. That game Monday night, I'm not going to hold that against them, but still you would have liked to have seen a little bit better than what they showed down at Jerry World against the Cowboys. I just think the Packers are a better team. -3, I understand. That screams to me right now that I'm going to push. Screams push at -3. My buddy got it -3.5. I feel bad for him. I have other friends that like Detroit +3, +3.5. We'll find out. I think Green Bay is just a better team. Give me the Packers -3. To recap, the final 3 games for the NFL regular season, the trifecta, need to go 1-1-1 for 52% or better on the year. The Patriots at the Dolphins, give me the Dolphins at home +9. The Chiefs -5.5 at the Chargers, give me the Chiefs -5.5. And the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions for the NFC North title. Give me the Packers -3. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, we'll be able to get it done. Saturday, New Year's Eve, big day of racing coast to coast. You're going to want to tune in to live.drf.com starting at 3 o'clock Eastern. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, and Jonathan Kinchin. They're going to bring you through the entire day's races. You've got some good stuff, obviously, down in South Florida at Gulfstream Park. You've got a couple stakes up here in New York. Hopefully the weather is kind to our friends here out on Long Island. And you got a couple other big things going on. You have the American Oaks. It's going to be the last race that Illman and Kinchin will cover for you right around 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve. I'm out of here this evening. I won't talk to you again. I know it's the cliche. Everyone talks about it. I won't talk to you again until 2017. Next week, we'll dive into some Eclipse Award things. Maybe it's just me. Maybe there are some guests. We'll find out. Have a happy and healthy and safe New Year's Eve. We'll talk to you again next Friday, noon Eastern, The Matt Bernier Show.